Okay, I was muted. Sorry. I was just going to say that is the sign of a true musician there when they add their own reprise at the end of the song. Like, it was so cute. That's got to be my favorite of all Kylie's music. So talented, so awesome. So good to see everyone in here. I can see a few OGs, and that's a wonderful thing. Welcome in, BTTV. I'm so glad you're here. Bonza, Teresa, Ariel. Who else have we got in here? Few OGs. I saw Bex in here somewhere. Bex Sluther, good to see you. Hugging Demons. Nacho, good to see you. So much going on in the chat. It's hard to find everyone. Callie, welcome in. Brookie, welcome in. Rita, welcome in. So good to see people. Sorry for the slight delay getting started. I feel ill-equipped to be doing this. I feel like it should be Shanda or Ara or, you know, one of the real OGs doing this live stream for Kylie. I mean, I've got a playlist with close to 500 videos on it, but I just think, yeah, well, you haven't got my permission to go anywhere, BTTV. I'm just going to tell you that, okay? Yeah, I've prepared for this live stream about 20 times. I've lost some of the videos that I prepared, which kind of sucks. Yeah, no driving. But I have got so much here that honestly, it's quite possible that this could be one of many Kylie live streams, because even though I've lost a bunch of stuff, by the time I loaded stuff up, there's like, I could go for 24 hours. Not that I could, but there's enough here that I could go for 24 hours. Yeah, no, I'm always late. But I have to confess, I was having a little bit of a nervous moment sitting here staring at the screen going, you can do this. For those of you who've followed Kylie's case with us, you probably know how important it is to many of us to just keep speaking out for Kylie. So I really wanted to get this right. But like I said, I don't think I can't do it justice. I know that if Shanda was doing a live stream, that she'd do a way better job of me than me, or if Ara was doing a live stream. But they're not, so you're stuck with me. Anyway, I'm going to start with a shorter video that I put together a few months ago. This is meant to be the beginning of a series that I want to put together for Kylie. I'm still determined to do that. I kind of, the wheels fell off for a little while and I put it all on the back burner. But this was going to be my introduction video for my Kylie series. So I'm going to put this on. Thank you, Deborah. Good to see you in here anyway. I'm going to put this on. It's about 5 minutes long. I may or may not pause along the way because it's been a few months since I made this, so I can't even remember what I put in. But I know that I put a bunch of really important things in that I think is a really good introduction to Kylie's case.
That is not just the liquid proper in the lung, but they actually can go down to the level of, you know how like when you've got your
Oh, sorry, probably trigger warning. It does start with a discussion of Kiely's lungs from the autopsy. But I think this is one of the really, really pertinent things that people need to be aware of. And that is that there was no sign at all of drowning anywhere with Kiely. Not in her lungs, not in her stomach, not in her any of her airways, not in her ear canals, anything like that. So it's probably a little bit confronting to start with, but that's how it is. Yeah, this is the first video in the series that I was wanting to do, and I'm planning on getting back to it when I can, when I'm when I've got a bit more energy back.
Bronchi, which are the big breathing tubes, and then they in your lungs it branches off into the alveoli, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You get little more branches to breathe. That's how you get your air throughout the lungs. You can actually, in autopsy, take cross sections of the smaller, what we call alveoli, if you think of like the branches on a tree, right? And you can actually see if there was inspiration. Are the alveoli, is the tissue in the lung proper? Does it show that the person actually was taking in a breath or not?
Is that what you just saw?
I'm going to pause on that bit. Hopefully, actually, I'll put myself back up on stage. Now, something really important to know from what Dralmatina was saying there, and she was talking about the lungs, and basically they become sodden. If a person drowns, the water gets in all the little think of it like a sponge. If you put a sponge in water, all those little bits in the sponge, the water gets into all those little holes, and the sponge just gets full of water. So you pick it up and it's full of water, and it weighs a ton. Kiely's lungs, the capillaries, thank you. Or the alveoli is what she referred to. So they're the Kiely's lungs weighed the same as that of a toddler, or at least the lungs that were autopsied, because the person that was autopsied was a completely different height. And I should have actually, but there was some stuff that Barbara Butcher did before the autopsy came out, where she actually spoke about a lot of stuff to do with what you would expect to see in a drowning victim, and that was quite good. But thank you, BTTV. I'm so glad you're here. Not only were Kiely's lungs the weight of that of a toddler, but the height of the individual that was autopsied did not match Kiely's height, which still is something that I've not to this day been able to wrap my head around. Okay, playing on a little bit more.
Yeah. So it's just a big shadow there. You see that?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense though. It's only 10 feet of water. We definitely have something man-made. Big.
It's probably nothing, but it was a big shadow.
It's something.
Isn't that weird? I mean, it's just big.
It's definitely something. Directly under us right now. What is that, Carson?
Right there.
Just pausing again. So I don't have the flight paths there was a channel that did a really extensive video of the flight paths that showed that they flew over the location of Kiely's vehicle well over 20 times, directly over the spot where her vehicle was seen, where her vehicle was found. I really don't think so, Bonza. When you see the bit about her jewellery, it just adds to it. Thank you. I knew it was a lot. I have my iPad set up so I can actually jump over to your channel, BTTV, if I need to. The 10 feet and the 14 feet is the discrepancy because the vehicle was at an angle. So at the deepest point, you have 14 foot. And then at that point where they were measuring, that measured as 10 feet. So the deepest point was 10 feet, was 14 feet. The shallowest point was 10 feet. So they had over 31 flight paths directly above the location where Kiely's vehicle was found. Not only that, but they had pretty much the location where her phone last pinged, which is where they found the vehicle. So they flew over that location over 31 times. They searched also with like sonar and everything multiple times. And according to helicopter pilots, you could see the bottom of the reservoir. They told Doug Bishop that exact thing. You could see the bottom of the reservoir. This is super clear. These are some of the top search agencies out there because of the region. Now, several years before, there was a drowning victim in Lake Tahoe. And they were able to find that drowning victim in 1,600 feet of water. But they could not find an SUV in Prosser Reservoir. We don't know about if her phone was in the car or not, Bonza. It's never been confirmed or denied.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
How in the could they have missed it?
That's impossible.
Yeah.
You're looking at a very recent photo taken of Kiely about a month before she disappeared. We want you to pay attention to her jewelry. She's wearing very distinctive gold-colored necklaces. 1, 2, 3 necklaces, and we do believe that these were the same pieces of jewelry that she was wearing when she went missing. This photo was sent to us by her family, and out of respect for the family, we are releasing this photo and just urging everybody to please pay attention if anybody comes across these pieces of jewelry. If anybody locates anything, to please immediately contact the Placer County Sheriff's Office or the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. We want you to pay attention to her jewelry, and we do believe that these were the same pieces of jewelry that she was wearing when she went missing.
So we were told that we need to pay attention to those 3 pieces of jewelry
that they believe that's what she was wearing when she went.
My apologies. I need to improve the recording on this clearly, but I will just keep playing it anyway.
Missing. In another statement, we were specifically told that she had worn those pieces of jewellery for the last 2 months and had not taken them off. So these are clips from my previous video that I did on this, and there is a comment there by someone who says that the small necklaces appear to be a hummingbird.
Okay, I'm actually going to skip past that bit because I've got a better version of it now, which I just realised. Let me see. Okay, I'll pull that one off stage. And what I have, right, so this has got a clearer image. So this is,
You're looking at a
whoops. Now I've got to find where I was at. Okay, so this is Kiely's necklaces. So they made a big thing about, we want you to keep an eye out for Kiely's necklaces. She wears them all the time. And they're basically saying she was wearing them on the night of the party. So I'm going to go past that because I've just played that bit. But they were very insistent. We want you to pay attention to her jewellery. So I did that. And there's a few videos that I've done about this. So we have, and now that I've made it clearer, you can see there is a hummingbird, a tiny sleigh bell, and a thick gold chain. Now, if we scroll on a bit, so I've zoomed in. I think it was easier to see it before I zoomed in, but anyway. So we have the hummingbird, the bell, and the gold rope chain. So I'm going to scroll along to, this was in the autopsy report. 3 yellow metal chains around the neck, one of which has a small colourless stone, one of which has a small constellation-shaped pendant, and the third of which has a small disc-shaped pendant. Doesn't really sound like Kiely's necklaces. So that they described them as a small colourless stone, a small constellation pendant, a constellation-shaped pendant, and a small disc-shaped pendant. So, I know, trust me, we spent a lot of time basically asking that same question with this case. None of the jewellery matches. We were told to look out for Kiely's jewellery. We were told to pay attention. Kiely's wearing a rope chain, a sleigh bell, and a hummingbird. Not a colourless stone, a small constellation-shaped pendant, and a small disc-shaped pendant. There's no explanation for this. Yep. That is, it's inaccurate. The description of the jewellery that was given from the autopsy is not Kiely's jewellery. So again, creates questions. Now, this is going to blow your mind. Yeah, they have added a pendant, and they've got the gas station photo does not look like she has pendants on at all. I haven't loaded that up, but I think it is in one of my slideshows. But I'm going to introduce people to Sammy Smith. You're going to see a few interviews with Sammy Smith, but this is from the first press conference. Now, bearing in mind that Sammy claimed to have been Kiely's good friend, Sammy claims to have been the last person to see Kiely or to speak with her, or her story changes a bit here and there. But you're about to see, if you're not familiar with Kiely's case, this happened 4 years ago. So this is an old case, but there's so many inconsistencies here. They claimed that Kiely drowned, but there's no sign of anything in her autopsy that suggests she drowned. The vehicle was found with one of the front windows in the vehicle was smashed out. The glass was smashed out. Now, that's not going to happen underwater. One of the windows behind the front, in the backseat windows, one of those was half open. So you had one window that was completely open, one window that was half open, and Kiely was found in the very back of her SUV. Her vehicle was found in 14 feet of water in Prosser Reservoir. So apparently, if you to believe that, she bypassed two open windows and went into the very back of her vehicle and still got no water in her lungs at all. None at all. No water in her stomach. No signs of drowning. According to Jared Lysek, who is the founder of Adventures with Purpose, he's only ever once found someone in the very back section of their vehicle. And that was Kiely. Kiely was a good swimmer. Kiely had been to that reservoir to parties countless times with both, like, her two different boyfriends. She knew the road. Wasn't a wrong turn road. No air pocket because the windows were open. I have got a few videos on my playlist, and I probably should have grabbed one of them, showing vehicles that have gone into the water. And you've got plenty of time. If you are conscious and alert and you've got an open window, you've got plenty of time to climb out that window. Kiely was tiny. By the time the water actually started coming in through that broken window or through the firewall, that would have taken more, like, so much time to reach that point. Like, it wouldn't have started rushing in straight away. The vehicle would have floated a little bit first. I've got, like, there are videos in my Kiely playlist that show this. The vehicle would have floated for a little while first before the weight of the engine would have pulled the front of the vehicle down, meaning that the water eventually would have started coming in through that front window. but we're talking more than enough time for a conscious person to get out through that window. And even if they didn't, if they climbed over into the back seats, it's going to be far easier to climb out the side window than over the back into the trunk. It would if you didn't have the windows open. She wasn't drunk. The water wouldn't have gone into the window straight away because the vehicle had to sink to a level first where the water was going to start going in. With the windows being down, it would have been much easier for her to get out. I do wish I had the videos there that show that. But anyway, I'm going to introduce you to Sammy Smith. Yeah, where is the rest? Adventures with Purpose. They've kind of vanished, haven't they? Okay, here we go. No, the car was only in 14 feet of water, like really, really shallow water. The top of the vehicle, was about 7 feet below the surface. Oh, good point. Thanks, Bex. I forgot that bit. It appears that Kiely was strapped in. No explanation of how she achieved that if she drove herself into the water. Okay, let's have some Sammy Smith. If you've never seen this, just be prepared, because this is nothing I've seen in any case ever, and I don't think we're ever going to see this in a case. No, there was nothing preventing her from getting out the window at all. The level of ethanol in her system was consistent with decomposition. So if it was Kiely in the autopsy, there was not enough THC or alcohol in her system to suggest that she was impaired in any way. Yes, she was strapped into the back of the vehicle. So apparently she drove herself into the reservoir with no alcohol in her system on a road that wasn't a wrong turn road. And then she somehow managed to get into the boot of the car and strap herself in and drown without getting any water in her airways, lungs, etc. It's raises questions.
Hi, everybody. My name's Sammy Smith. I'm the one who's kind of been, I don't know, you guys probably know me. Everybody has my number at this point. So, I am leading the teen-to-teen conversations. These are the conversations with no parents, no media, and no adults at all, no police, because if there's that pressure from all of those sources on these kids, that could be what could be leading them to not share information. And that's all we need right now is any information.
So in case you didn't pick up on that, Sammy and her buddies were running teen-to-teen discussions after Kiely went missing. Sammy is, by her words, the last person to have seen Kiely. And she wanted all the teens from the party to go and speak to her. I know, the clip on the pen. I'll just wait for the twirl. It gets better though.
So if there's any teens out here that want to be a part of that, I will take you one by one into this thing right here. Sorry, that seems creepy or something. I don't know. I'm really just trying to help. I've been doing a lot right now. It's a little stressful, but I'm been holding myself together for anything. It's been very thank you for all of your posts and reaching out. I'm on the Kiely account and email and everything. We've seen everything. We're reporting everything. So with the Teen to Teen caucus going on in Truckee City today, I wanted to reiterate this to all of the adults, all of the parents. Please do not come to this. You can drop off your kids, but drive away. Drive away as far as you can so that they cannot see you, you cannot see them, you cannot hear anything.
Essentially, I want to be able to speak to the teenagers who were there without any parents or law enforcement around. Because as the last person that saw Kiely, I should be the person talking to all the teens at the party and trying to influence what they are going to say. She is. She's just so struggling, isn't she? She's really keeping it. I know her stories do not add up at all. She is. She's such a bullshit artist. Like, yeah, it's unreal. Unreal.
I am in contact with the deputies, I'm in contact with the detectives, I'm in contact with the FBI, everybody. I am the person these kids need to be going to, and I've had a lot of people come to share that we need more. Anybody that knew about the party, learned about the party after, knows anything at all. You knew somebody who went, you knew somebody who was planning on going, you knew any drugs or alcohol that was there, you knew somebody who blocked somebody. Anything at all, even if you do not know, you do not know Kiely, you never met Kiely, you have no.
She claims to have been Kiely's friend, but according to Kiely's real friends, Kiely did not like Sammy at all. Not only that, they weren't friends on social media anywhere. Oh my gosh, peas in a pod. Yeah, can you imagine? This would be Daniel. Sammy is the female version of Daniel. That is for sure. Like, honestly, so she's basically saying, you know, send your kids to me, not to law enforcement. And yet they let her stand there and do this. They let this go on for several days before they finally put an end to it. It was just unreal. I mean, seeing this for the first time, we were just gobsmacked. And she came out on, there was a page, there was an Instagram page that was like a Find Kiely page. And she came out and told people, bring your tips to me. She wanted people to bring their tips to her. Well, that's a good question, Ariel. Because we never heard if she was ever interrogated. But her parents had some really important government contracts. Her parents were worth quite a lot of money. So I'm not sure if she was ever interviewed at all.
Idea what's even going on. you knew about Prosser, please come to me. Like, this is what I look like. I don't know. I'll be
We haven't seen Anita do a twirl yet, but you know, coming close. Oh dear. Oh my gosh, Bonza can actually see Grover and welcome in Grover. Megan Cole's so full of shit. How do you know anything that comes from her mouth? Like seriously, let's just watch that twirl again because it's just ridiculous. Like, honestly, this is what you would get if Daniel Martel and Anita Maxwell had a child.
this is what I look like. I don't know. I'll be right here. Please just come to me after this, or right now I can take you in there. Anything. The meetup is tonight in Tahoe City at the Save Mart. It's right, like you go off Squaw Way and you turn off and go into the thing. Please come to this tonight. We need every single person there. It'll be from 5 to 7:30. I will stay up there till 1 a.m. if needed. If kids need to get off work, if kids need anything. We have counselors here for support for anybody who's having anxiety, having stress, crying, anything you need. We have people here you can talk to. We're all here to support and help you in any way. And thank you so much for coming out to this and supporting us. We need everything we can get right now. We want to find time.
Oh, I know. You just got to laugh. I mean, it's just... Yep. They basically scribbled "Find Kylie" on their shirts. These honestly, Sammy and her mates, unreal, absolutely unreal. Oh yeah, there are some times when things come out of her mouth that you need to pay attention to, but there's a lot of crap too.
And if you have any questions, this is what this is for. I'll hand it off to the adults because, you know, I'm only 18. I might know some, but I don't know everything. So who knows? Thank you.
So that was Sammy Smith, key player in this case, who wanted people to give tips to her, even though she claims to have been the last person to see Kylie. Oh yeah. Okay, Okay, here's the question. Do I go with Megan Cole in her first call-in interview with Iked Mel, or do I jump on and do some media? Decisions. Especially when you see this one here. This is the first we see of Sammy, and her hair is dyed that color. And then why is it that she changes her hair color after that? I found it interesting in the thing with the guy when she did the interview with that guy. I found it interesting seeing the photo alongside her. Yeah, should I jump in and just do... I'm going to jump in first. And do a little bit of Megan Cole. This is the first panel that she went on. Now, she claims that her daughter is best friends with Sammy. She is your Durwood in this case, trying to steer the narrative. but she also has a lot of nuggets of truth. So, bingo. One of the bits of truth that we did get out of Megan Cole was that there was a fight at the party. They had Fight Club. And when you dig through all the things that Megan has said, what you find out is that there was actually a fight between Sammy and Kiely. Amongst the many things that have been said by Megan Cole. I think I do need to put together a video with all Megan's statements, because she didn't do Sammy any favors. Let's put it that way. She does. She needs to explain a lot of what she said. That's for sure. Let's have a listen to Megan Cole. Now, you're going to notice in this that apparently her phone keeps dropping out. Now, this is the one and only time when her phone keeps dropping out. Yeah, all those things, Nacho. This is the only time in all her panel appearances that apparently her phone keeps dropping out. But the thing is, you hear a few times when it clicks, you hear the disconnect. So basically, Megan had someone coaching her. Oh, yeah. Very, very defensive. Well, you know. I'm just glad that she's blocked from my channel, because otherwise she'd probably be in here having things to say.
Says her name is Megan and that her daughter is friends with Sammy and that they have known Sammy for about 5 years. The first call was basically Sammy's story and Sammy's narrative. I think that it's important because this phone call came on August 9th, which was before Sammy ever did her interview with All American Dream Chaser. And we still don't know how he even managed to get this.
I would give credit to this channel, but I actually didn't make note of what the channel was, so I apologize profusely. I've left her introduction in because it does explain it for people who are not familiar with the case.
This interview with Sammy, so maybe this caller was an attempt to get Sammy's story out. Now, in the third phone call, she says that they thought Kiely stayed the night out there, and that when people woke up at 8 a.m., they didn't see her. So, if in fact there were people that stayed after this party had ended, how did no one see her? They thought that Kiely stayed the night out there, but at 8 o'clock in the morning, when people went to go leave, her car had been gone. So, and the last time that Sam saw her was at 12:30 when they texted each other, and they said they were coming home. That Kiely was at the party still, and everybody was like kind of just whining, starting to leave. So the only thing that they don't know is who saw her leave. They can't find out who saw her leave. She also mentioned something about when everybody was lining up, getting ready to leave, which kind of sounded familiar to me because we know the campers said that they saw a train.
This is one of the big things that Megan really hates people talking about, and that is the fact that there was a train of vehicles that all suddenly left at 12:30. For some reason, party was suddenly over at 12:30 and a bunch of people took off.
Of cars leaving the party at 12:30. However, in Jane Doe number 2's video, she tells us that the road was blocked off and doesn't mention anything about this train.
Okay, I do have to address the Jane Doe thing. That was one of Sammy's friends. I have proven in a video that there were multiple exits from that campground. So You think it's conspiracy? I think it is. I think you're right. So this narrative that was put out later about the road being blocked doesn't fit because there were multiple exits from the area.
Of cars. So from Jane Doe, that entrance was blocked with vehicles and no one left during this time. But she is the only person that we have heard this from, and we now have 2 accounts of cars leaving at 12:30. Possible this train of cars left before the road was blocked and Jane Doe just didn't mention that? Yes, it's possible. Then she goes on to mention something happened later in the night at the party that people weren't talking about.
I did find out there was something that's like happened at the party, not bad on anything else, but it hasn't been very much talked about because I asked this question and it just kind of shot from there. So if someone knows what happened later in the party, nothing bad, and just something that happened later in the party that was a small thing and it started then, that would be helpful to know if she was where she was and who she left with after that.
So Megan was fishing to see if there were any witnesses, basically. She wasn't going to name it up on a live stream. Do you believe they do have a video of the fight? That would be interesting because I had heard that there was a video of the fight. And yet, you know, there were no videos apparently. But yeah, so Megan is fishing here, basically saying that she wants to hear from anyone who knows what happened. And it wasn't a big thing, she says. Well, we haven't been able to confirm that the road was blocked. There were 2 Jane Does who came out several months after Kiely was found. Jane Does who have close connections with Sammy Smith, pushing a narrative. Yeah, it was. She was totally minimizing it because she couldn't exactly get there on a live stream and say, "Oh, you know, if anyone actually saw the bitch fight that happened at the party that happened later on, I want to know if you've seen it." Like, I mean, I'm just hypothesizing a bit there, but she's definitely referring to something that happened, and it's something that's significant enough that she's got a hedge around it, but she's minimizing at the same time.
I don't know. I guess I could say there's a fire that was started, like a bonfire that was started later in the evening, but when a lot of the people were there at the beginning of the party, there was no fire. And when I mentioned a fire, they...
Yeah, the Jane Does are complete utter BS. Complete utter. I discarded them very, very early on. That what they have said does not match up with what we know. And when you've got, and I can't think of her name, but when you've got Sammy's friends who are coming forward as Jane Does not even giving their names, well, red flag. So now Megan's been put in a spot, so now she's going to talk about there was a fire. That's not what she's talking about, in my opinion. I believe she was talking about a fight, but she was pushed, so she had to talk about a fire. Now, it's funny how a lot of the things that were suggested, we can prove that they happened at Prosser Reservoir, which was, not Prosser Reservoir, little distance away. Thank you, Ariel. Very much appreciated. There is? Wow. You're more up on this sort of stuff than me. I hadn't heard about that either. About Kiely dancing around the fire. Well, that's interesting too.
They said it started out later. So I said, did anybody see Kiely after the fire started when they were all sitting around? They said no. So they need to know who left before the fire started at the place than before.
So now
she's good with her words, isn't she? She could have used a bit of coaching from Durwood in terms of how to use her words. But she's trying to avoid talking about something, clearly.
what I got from that was that this fire was started much later, maybe after most people had already left the party. And they could just not be talking about it.
Now, here's the thing. Kiely wasn't meant to go to this party. There was a thing at Reno that she was going to go to with her family, a hot August nights thing. She was hanging out with her friends through the day, and at the last minute, she decided she was going to this party, and she went to the party with her friend Mags. And allegedly, Mags left in the first 10 minutes. So it does seem like she was basically lured to the party. And it does seem that it was quite potentially for the purpose of a fight. No one has confirmed if her boyfriend was at the party or not. Her former boyfriend was down in Napa, which was several hours away. But funnily enough, just like the son of this Megan woman, there's no confirmation if Nate was at the party or not. Yeah, allegedly multiple spottings at Boca campground, lawyers say it. Even Megan keeps saying Boca over. Yeah, she did. I forgot about that. She kept accidentally saying Boca. The first PCSO search went to Boca as well. SF said if we knew the reason why Mags left, we would understand. Quite possibly, although SF is such a tosser as well. Yes, it was said that it was because she'd gone the night before. But, when she left home that morning to go and hang with her friends, the arrangement was that she was going to go to Hot August Nights. So it was quite interesting that, suddenly she's going to this party instead with Mags, and then Mags leaves.
Because, well, they're not supposed to be starting fires out there. We do have evidence that there was a fire. This is a picture of what appears to be a fire, and this was actually up at the sanctuary location.
No, that photo that she showed, which I don't have because I've just got audio, was at Boca. But, there was a bit of confusion.
Several people that have went there and filmed in this spot have shown us this. So now in the fourth call, she's talking about the car is not at and in my opinion, it sounds like she's about to say the car is not at Boca. That's just my opinion.
The car is not at, where the reason in the water, it's not. They've looked in the water. They've had divers. They've had everywhere else. So and there's only one way in and one way out of the party.
Yeah, there's multiple ways in, multiple ways out, and Megan consistently spoke about Boca, not Prosser Reservoir. Nate had been really good friends with Sammy. In fact, there's so many photos of Sammy and Nate hanging out together. Nate was also really good friends with Megan's son, Brandon. Brandon? I can't remember now.
Most of the kids stayed overnight. Some of them left. The girls and guys do this all the time. They tell their parents, you're 16 years old, you get messed up, and then you stay where you land.
I just thought it was interesting that it sounded like she was about to say Boca, and we know that there are other claims to have allegedly seen Kiely in that area. And she also mentioned...
Okay, I'm going to... Yeah, I think she was too. I think what happened, I believe it happened at Boca. I did have the full Nick, the tow truck guy interview, which I was going to play, but I accidentally deleted it at some point. So this is probably where I should mention for the people who are not familiar with Kiely's case. When Adventures with Purpose arrived in the area to go search for Kiely, they have a massive truck with Adventures with Purpose painted on the side of it. And this guy flagged them down, Nick, who was a tow truck driver. And he had this story that he had got a call out to Boca Reservoir the morning after Kiely went missing, essentially. And according to him, he actually serviced Kiely's car at Boca Reservoir the morning after she went missing. He said that the girl seemed like she was a bit worse for wear, like it'd been a bit of a rough night, and she was there with the guy. And that there was a problem with the vehicle because it was stuck between gears or something along those lines. And he said the girl was quite nervous. And he said that it seemed like whenever he moved somewhere, the girl and guy seemed to be on opposite sides of the vehicle. Now, my take on it was that actually they were trying to prevent him from going near the back of the vehicle, in my opinion. My personal belief is that that was actually Sammy Smith and possibly Nate. But it's very interesting that we have this tow truck driver saying he believes that he serviced Kiely's vehicle the morning after she allegedly drove into the reservoir, and giving a description. What's also interesting is that there are multiple accounts from locals who claim to have seen Kiely's vehicle at Boca Reservoir the next day. Now, I'm actually going to have another look at Nick's interview and do a proper analysis of it. Have a look at his body language. Have a listen to exactly what he's saying, and just see if he's being truthful. If I think he's being truthful, it was a company vehicle. He said that he always parks with the camera for the company vehicle facing like the vehicle that he's servicing. He basically got put off from his job after that. So we don't know what happened to any sort of dash cam footage or anything like that. Yeah, I think, and I've got them on one of these videos too. I might jump into a bit of the news footage because it's got some more of Sammy talking, and I've also thrown a few bits and pieces in between. And I know some of that is some of the Boca screenshots. I'm trying to cover as much as possible in a live stream. And I feel like I'm just not doing any justice to this case because there's so much to talk about, so many details that need to be brought up. But yeah. He could have reached out to many. He could have went to ground zero and spoken with someone. He did actually, he did make contact with authorities. And that's when he basically got put off from his job. So I also have the audio from when he spoke to Squirrel Girl about it. Yeah, they decided that she drowned. She drove her vehicle into the reservoir, strapped herself into the back of the vehicle and drowned with no water in her lungs or airways or stomach or anything like that. No sign of intoxication in an area that basically she knew like the back of her hand. This is a girl who lived in a backwoods property, who had been driving for quite some time, had her own ski-mobile thingy. Like, she wasn't a novice driver either. People keep saying, well, she was only 16. But she was a really, really experienced driver. As for the Prosser Reservoir party pic that was allegedly provided by Sammy Smith, another individual claimed it was a still shot from a dash cam of her son's best friend. They had left the party. Sweet. I definitely do need to do some more live streams on this, because there's so much that I've not touched on. I went onto your channel, BTTV, and I went onto Shanda's channel, and again, my brain just went into overload mode because I just wanted to cover this really well and try to tell Kylie's story as best I could. And there's so much there to tell. And I just kind of went into overload mode because I wanted to. The car was found about 50 feet from the shore, which the reservoir had gone down. So it was I think it was about 60 feet out originally. Yeah. I mean, at the moment, this isn't monetized. I haven't monetized this at this point in time. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye, whoever you are. Okay, just ditching someone. The irony is none of you saw that troll because they went into the vertical live stream. So there was, it's not going to, no one in chat will have seen it. And I've just booted them anyway. So yeah, goodbye, troll. Enjoy the rest of your day. I think I'm going to have to put together a collection of your videos and do another Kiely live stream. Also because there's a lot on Shanda's channel that I want to share. And I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface. I'm not sure what 50 foot is in meters. That's a good question. Maybe someone can convert it in their head for us. I know. You got to laugh when that poor troll, like, nobody in there to chat with them, and they go in the wrong chat, and now they're like blocked. So, you know, sucks to be them. Oh dear. IYP is in Truckee now. Oh, you mean Mrs. G is in Truckee? I'm surprised she hasn't dropped in this live stream, because I did put it out there and she did comment on it. Maybe it's just the wrong time of day for her. About 3 feet is a meter, yeah. So 10 feet is 10 meters. So yeah, about 20 meters out. That's really not far. That's really not far. Wow. Okay, I'm going to put up some of the news stories. These have got some more of Sammy's little performances.
Last seen in Truckee near a campground, and tonight the case is now being investigated as a possible abduction. ABC 10's Bridget Pujoriolo has more from Truckee.
16-year-old Kiely Rodni was last seen at this campsite near Truckee early Saturday morning. And as more time passes, concern for her safety is growing, with detectives now investigating her case as a possible abduction. Pictures of a smiling teen printed on flyers scattered throughout the town of Truckee. It's where friends last saw Kiely Rodni at a campsite where investigators say up to 300 people came to party Friday night.
I was one of the last people with Kiely, and I am just desperate to do anything that I can to bring her home.
The 16-year-old told her mom,
I am just desperate to do anything that I can to bring her home. So genuine, isn't she? There is an image which I have on my MacBook somewhere here, which I should try and find. Okay, the ground is, it does slope, but there are photos of a vehicle stuck in the mud. There's news footage of search boats, basically where they ground them in the mud. They don't secure them, they just ground them in the mud on the shoreline because they know that they're not going to go anywhere. But apparently, somehow, the vehicle got through all the mud and didn't get bogged and ended up in 14 foot of water.
She'd be home by 12:30 Saturday morning, but she never came home. Her car nowhere to be found and her phone turned off.
She's always so good about checking in and just letting me know where she is, and I haven't heard from her, and so it's just scary when you don't know when your kid is.
Detectives with the Placer County Sheriff's Office have been combing through the Prosser family campground since the teen's disappearance, with crews from Nevada County Sheriff and the FBI called in to help. This as friends and family have been holding search parties of their own.
I just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to try and find her.
We at least feel like we're not alone, which I think is the very best thing that we could feel in such a scary situation.
The sheriff's office says because her car can't be located, it's now investigating the case as a possible abduction.
We urge anybody who is at that party Friday evening to please come forward with any information that could lead us to Kiely. We believe out of the 200 to 300 juveniles and young adults who were at that party, somebody must know something.
And her family says a $50,000 reward is being offered for that information they hope leads to her safe return.
Yeah, it would have been pretty damn hard to get that vehicle out there, past the mud. No matter how fast you went, you would be struggling to get that vehicle past that mud. Um, it does, doesn't it? There's a lot of things that they... So how did Check It see all so good? What do you mean? What, in terms of because he saw the stuff under the water? Well, he wasn't wading through it for starters. He was on a like a kayak or something. Oh yeah, and the vehicle was found in neutral. Yep, exactly. Apparently it didn't. It managed to get deep enough to float, even though there was mud there.
She just graduated high school at 16 with high honors. She's so intelligent and beautiful and just such a kind and wonderful person.
Kiely is 5'7" with blonde hair and hazel eyes. And if you know anything about her disappearance, you're asked to call the Placer County Anonymous Tip Line. We have that number for you on our website, abc10.com.
Okay. If your calculations are that she would have had to have been going over 28 miles per hour to get through the mud and get in the reservoir, how would you do that without running off the road first, given that the road was so full of potholes and bits? That just makes it make even less sense, doesn't it? Wow. You'd be pushing, wouldn't you? That road was rough. Doug Bishop himself spoke about how 45 kilometres, no way. There's no way she could do that, is there? No way. Doug Bishop said that they nearly tipped the truck over going on along that road to the location where she was found. So that's just an impossibility. There's no way that she could have gone that fast on that road. So this is the one of the invites that was put out, which, as you can see, is actually showing a fight. Welcome in, Amy. Yeah, and I think I'm going to be working on a series of videos for Kiely that I'm going to put out. I also think that, sorry, I was just putting my blanket up around me. It's cold here again this morning. I also think that I'm probably going to have to do another live stream because I'm not going to get through a fraction of the important stuff with this case in a single live stream. So I'm definitely going to come back and talk about it some more. This was the invite which apparently was put out. Now, we heard from people who said that they were basically in like public places. Truckee Thursdays, someone was at one of those and received this invite via airdrop. So a lot of people got these. And it does seem to be depicting a fight club. Yeah. Exactly. It would have had to have gotten far enough out for it to start floating to then get far enough out to sink. Yeah, look, my heart breaks for Lindsay, for Kiely's brother, who, you know, he's nearly her age now. I wonder I wonder what he knows about all this or what he thinks about all this. It's, you know, it's a sad situation. Okay, what else did I throw in here?
Eric, behind me, you will see this Denali trailer. This is where family and friends have spent the entire day and into the evening, hoping that people will come by with some information that the sheriff's department can use. Now, her friends want people to know there were hundreds of people at this party that you mentioned, and someone has to know something, but they want to stress that no one's going to get into any trouble. There was alcohol and some drug use by some of the people there. Law enforcement is not interested in that. No one is going to tell their parents. They simply want to get that information.
So basically, none of the teens were going forward and talking to law enforcement about what happened. There were apparently no videos from the party. There were apparently no photos from the party, allegedly. There was nothing. Hundreds of teens, and apparently nobody took photos or made videos, and nobody went forward and spoke. Although we have heard from her own mouth that Megan Cole was actually pressuring teens about videos. In other words, it sounds like she was trying to intimidate teens to not speak. Yep. That's one of the things that makes me so angry about the mate report. Them claiming that there were tracks. And yet I have found contemporary like accounts, like from when Kiely first went missing. I found contemporary accounts of people saying there were no tracks, no tire tracks. Oh my gosh. She would have been 21 on September 1st. Wow. Unreal. She would have been 21 and she would have graduated from college. There's no evidence of tracks near the water. And there's multiple accounts. Like, it's mind-blowing, some of the stuff I found in my folder, because, you know, I saved so much with Kiely's case. And the number of accounts I have from people saying, yeah, there's no tracks or anything. We know she didn't go into the water because there's no tire tracks that would suggest that she went into the water. This is people in the first couple of days saying, basically, we know she didn't go into the water because there's no tracks leading into the water. Yeah, although, who did she ring? She rang, it was another friend, and I can't remember that friend's name, but I wouldn't be surprised if the friend that Lindsay rang, because Lindsay rang a friend of Kiely's who went down to the campground looking for her, apparently. And I wouldn't be surprised if that friend maybe contacted Sammy. I don't know. I've heard the locals are very protective of the area. Yep. That makes sense.
Could help them bring Kiely back home safely. Friends and family of 16-year-old Kiely.
Okay, scroll on to We'll hear a bit
Just
more
off
from Lindsay.
Highway 89.
We got home around 11 and she sent me a text at 11:30 telling me that she was going to be leaving at about 12:15 and coming home. And that was, I asked her to wake me up when she got in. That was always kind of, like what we did. And she said, "Okay, Mom, I love you." And that was the last.
The party was only supposed to be open to those in the Truckee, Tahoe region, but word got out to Grass Valley, Reno, and the Bay Area.
It grew to be way, way larger than ever expected. Within the only 10 minutes that I was there,
So for those of you who are unaware, this is Mags, who was one of Kylie's close friends. This is the girl who went to the party with Kiely and left after 10 minutes with her boyfriend. I'll just run it back a little bit.
Only supposed to be open to those in the Truckee, Tahoe region, but word got out to Grass Valley, Reno, and the Bay Area.
It grew to be way, way larger than ever expected. Within the only 10 minutes that I was there, I literally had a group of 5 guys try to come get me to take as many bong rips as I could, forcefully without my boyfriend present. There was a lot of guys that did approach us. Definitely, I was getting a gut feeling during that party that something just didn't feel right with the amount of people that were there and how old some of these people were. From the amount of people who did show up, it was scary. It was really scary.
Kylie's.
It was scary, she says, with a grin on her face. Yeah, it was real scary, wasn't it, Sammy? Apparently, I didn't give my brother food poisoning. But given that he's a musician, and you can imagine when someone's doing gigs several nights a week, I reckon he's got a cast iron stomach. I remember that. They didn't just say it. Didn't they have like a photo or something of him in a fight? So this story of Mags leaving early with her boyfriend, and yet he was there for one of the fights. Yeah, Mags was allegedly Kylie's best friends. That's a good question. Where was Kiely when this was happening? Yeah, I think there was. There was a video. Apparently he's immune, or I don't know. But I was so ill, so I don't know how he managed to survive, but go figure.
2014 silver Honda CR-V is also missing.
I also want to know why there were so many different images of Kylie's vehicle that weren't Kylie's vehicle, that were put out by law enforcement. Like, for real.
The Placer County Sheriff's Office is investigating her disappearance as a possible abduction.
Because nobody has said that they saw her leave, they can't say for sure what's happened.
But she wants her daughter to know what's in her heart, along with this plea.
Kiely, I love you so, 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 so much, and I'm so sorry.
I've never been able to figure that out, because it makes no sense. How can you make someone take a bong hit? It's impossible. You just have to close your mouth. Like, doesn't take a genius to figure that out. It was such a bizarre thing to say.
I'm so sorry, and we're doing everything that we can. And if you have her, please give me my baby back. Oh, that's just so heartbreaking. Now, the search for Kiely will continue tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. from the Prosser staging area. That is just off of Highway 89. There's at least 100 searchers expected to be there.
Mag's friend and Lindsay, Kylie's mother, are very good friends. There's a statement from Mags where she says that something along the lines of that their parents decided that they would be friends. So it sounds like they were definitely friends, but see, Mags lived very close to Sammy as well. So I think there were split loyalties there. Oh, yeah. Truckee? They have a thing called the Truckee Way, which is basically saying we deal with problems ourselves. Yeah. And that was the first time that ever appeared on any flyers. Oh, poor Lindsay. Just the heartbreak of what she went through. I can't imagine. Can't imagine.
Reporting live from Truckee tonight, Rowena Shaddix, Fox 40 News.
Okay. Now I've got a few things here. So these are things that I've grabbed out of my Kiely folder. This is the tip of the iceberg. There's a video on Shanda's channel that BTTV and Shanda worked on together, which had some really good information. And yeah, 50 FBI agents, over 40 other asset agencies, and over 20,000 man hours. Then there was a change. There was a change in Lindsay. I think Lindsay knew early on. Oh, yeah. Come to this meeting. Don't let adults come in. Yep, Department of Homeland Security. I think Jagger was scared off. I think it began with him being pulled over for that traffic stop. And I think he was scared off because he came out fighting at first. And then he quickly vanished. So here we have, people keep saying there are no pictures or videos, but there is. I saw that he logged into Kylie's Snapchat and there are videos of her at the party. And there's more, I think. I think I was putting 2 to a slide. Okay, I'll pull the comments off stage for a moment. This is one where you would probably have to zoom in on your screen if you're on a small screen. There are multiple vehicle sightings between when Kiely went missing and the 17th of August. This one is a really fascinating one. 911 caller reported suspicious activity. Caller witnessed on Tuesday night at the Dollar General in Penn Valley. Caller advised a silver sedan was parked at the Dollar General, and inside the silver sedan was it's got X-ray, with long blonde hair in the passenger seat with a blindfold on. The caller wasn't aware of the missing person. No tag info was obtained. And that's about all they have on that. But it's an interesting sighting, and this was on the 11th of August. So a number of days after Kiely went missing. Oh, I know. Wouldn't it be good to have rich parents? Especially parents with connections, really good connections.
Well, it's been exactly 1 week ago today that 16-year-old Kiely Rodni went missing. The search continued today on land and in the water with several regional dive teams, including this one from Washoe County. Divers set out early this morning searching in the waters of Prosser Lake.
That's a damn good hummingbird sonar thing, isn't it? Let me go. Hang on.
The search continued today on land and in the water with several regional dive teams, including this one from Washoe County.
Oh.
Divers set out early this.
Hummingbird. That's one of the really, really good sonars. But apparently they didn't spot her vehicle. Yeah. Fight Club. There were shrooms there, apparently. Lots of drugs. This was a regular occurrence there, apparently. Law enforcement looked the other way. There were, I think, at least half a dozen kids who were children of law enforcement who attended the party. Yep. And they had that ROV there for quite some time. There was also a caller that called into Ickadmel. I think it was either the same call-in that Megan rang, or might have been the second call-in that Megan rang in. And this was someone who was involved with the search, and they mentioned that one of the boats had a magnetic anomaly detector on it, and that they were taking the boat out onto the reservoir with this magnetic anomaly detector. But apparently, that wasn't working either. Yep. And can we acknowledge... Oh, yeah, the hummingbirds. Lots of hummingbirds. Just going back to Washoe County, or how we pronounce it, they are one of the best search teams out there. This is a Tahoe region where they have a lot of lakes and things. They have a lot of you've got your skiing area and everything. These are professional searchers. These are like the best of the best. Yeah. So Hummingbird, this is exactly what Adventures with Purpose used. They had a Hummingbird and a Garmin. Newer vehicles are harder to detect because it's got something to do with the refraction, the light refraction of the vehicle, because there's no silt or anything on it. Yep, these searchers are world renowned. They're like, they are the best of the best. Like I said at the start of this live stream, they found a drowned person in Lake Tahoe in way, way, way deeper water than Kiely's vehicle was. Now, I could understand them missing the vehicle with sonar, except given the depth of Kylie's vehicle, you would just have to look down in the freaking water and you would see that vehicle. There's a photo of divers diving over the exact location where Kylie's vehicle was found. How did they not land? Like, how did their feet not hit the vehicle when they were diving in? Yeah, exactly. 16,000 feet of water. But apparently they couldn't find, yeah, exactly. Water, skiing, avalanches, hiking. I don't know if people hike much, but there's so much in that area. This is a tourist area that gets a lot of influx of tourists in the ski season and stuff like that. These guys train a heap, but they also have so much experience.
This morning, searching in the waters of Prosser Lake. Nevada County Sheriff's Captain Sam Brown verifying new information for Fox 40.
Angela, can you or the officers behind you confirm that her phone, Kylie's phone, the last ping was near the water?
Wow. Just looking at her facial expression there, she looks like she's about to throw up when she's asked this question. There was a live stream where Megan Cole just randomly decided to jump into Lake Tahoe fully clothed. Like, why would you do that? Like, cold freaking water. There is, but not till further out. This is one of the things that I discovered with the reservoir, and I think is significant, is that had the vehicle gone a bit further out, the depth suddenly drops to like 50 feet. So there was a shelf basically a little bit further out from where Kylie's vehicle ended up, where had it gone further, it would have gone into the deepest part of the reservoir, which again is like, super suspicious if you ask me. This vehicle that wasn't spotted for 2 weeks, and then if I did a video on this. It's a gradual drop, and then just beyond Kylie's vehicle there is a sudden drop. There's like a shelf, and it goes down to 55 feet, and that is the deepest part of the reservoir, just further out from where Kylie's vehicle was found, which kind of makes you think that hypothetically the vehicle was meant to end up in the deeper water, but somehow it didn't get that far. Prosser freezes. Oh, it does. I've seen photos actually. Yeah, that would be kind of cool to see, but also a little bit frightening.
Yeah, the ping for the data points and everything were near the water. It's hard to tell an exact pinpoint or anything like that, but just as much on land as it was on water.
Just as much on land as it was on water. So, probably somewhere close to the shoreline, do you think maybe, Sam? Because that's what it would suggest to me. If you're getting a ping that's just as much on land as it is on water, that would suggest to me that you would want to search all along that area where the phone pinged, sort of close to the shoreline, wouldn't you? Because, you know, that's what I would do. He got out of his car. The guy, the accident on Prosser, he drove his car in, and I think the car got stuck, and I think he got out of the vehicle and drowned from memory. So the vehicle didn't even go right in and sink. I believe it was a situation where he drove it in and then he ended up getting out of the vehicle and drowning. I may be wrong, but it wasn't. It was different from Kiely's case. I've got a record of that somewhere. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I can't quite remember the details of that, but there was.
A member of the dive team tells Fox 40 they searched in the areas where Kiely and her vehicle could possibly be. 57 feet.
Bingo, that's it. Because he drove on the ice. And the vehicle froze in and he froze to death. That sounds about right.
Is its deepest point. So far, they've found nothing.
A diving operation like that is really almost like you're going into the water blind, and they're basically searching with hands.
There were 220.
Okay, I'll skip past that bit because that's not important. Okay, whoops. I do need to go back here. I'll stop here.
For as long as we can.
In Nevada County, Rowena Shaddix, Fox 40 News.
Okay, I have to apologize. This is very blurry. I know there are better versions of this. I'll read it to you, and if you zoom in, you might be able to read it. This post was made by Lindsay on the 9th of August. No, the 7th. BTTV, when was this made? This was made on the Sunday night after Kiely was reported missing. So whatever that falls on. So Kiely was reported missing on the Saturday. And Lindsay made this post on the Sunday evening. This is her mother. And the highlighted bit is what I'm going to go through. August 7th. Thank you very much. Oh, it does actually say there on the screen, except that my things from StreamYard is covering it. Okay, vague moment there. So this is a post that Lindsay put out. The search and rescue search in the Prosser area has been stopped. This is 36 hours after they reported Kiely missing. I was told that over 20 separate agencies were involved in the search, along with the CHP's helicopter. It appears she's not there. So they had 20 separate search units there in the first 36 hours searching Prosser Reservoir. And they had established that her vehicle was not in the reservoir. This post later got removed. I know there's another one here. Oh, this is what was being referred to earlier on. This is from a camper who was camping there on similar area. And they're talking about a large group of cars leaving the party at 12:30, which is when Sammy claims to have spoken to Kiely last. She did, yeah. She met some of Kiely's friends at Starbucks and then contacted the agencies at that point in time. Whoops. Okay.
The intensifying search for a missing 16-year-old California girl who vanished after a campground party. Police are treating this as a possible abduction, have released a new image of the teenager just moments before she vanished. Veronica Miracle from our sister station KABC in Los Angeles has the latest. Good morning, Veronica.
Good morning, George. Investigators believe someone knows something. They're asking anyone with information to come forward. Kiely's father now begging the community for help.
She is, this community, she is your daughter, too. You know?
Overnight, Daniel Rodney speaking out for the first time since his 16-year-old daughter Kiely went missing after going to a party with hundreds of other teens at a campsite near Lake Tahoe.
This is your kids. These are the parties your kids are going to. We need answers. Please, anything, please, I need you.
This was him making a plea at a town meeting because nobody was talking. None of the teens were talking. The adults were telling the teens not to talk. And there was no footage being provided. Now, if you think back to this first thing that I played of Sammy, then I can't see necklaces. What I can see, okay, you get some rest. Thank you for coming in. What I can see, though, is what appears to be a tattoo on her chest, which, interestingly enough, Sammy Smith does have a tattoo right there on her chest. Not only that, what she's wearing is more in keeping with Sammy's clothes, not Kylie's clothes. That is definitely a possibility, because I don't think it was possible to drive that vehicle in at that location, in my opinion. It's what I believe anyway. Now, did I get that other image of Kiely up? No, I didn't. What's really interesting, and this is one of the things that Jagger did before he got silenced, he posted a photo of Kiely wearing a similar outfit to this. He didn't actually comment on it as this is Kylie's version of the outfit. He posted it basically, you know, this is one of my favorite photos of Kiely or something like that. And what you see is Kiely in a very similar outfit to this, which would have been what she wore to the party. The belt doesn't match. The trousers fit very differently to these, and the top is very different. But the thing is, what you see with this image is someone with more hips than Kiely, for starters. Someone with a tattoo on their chest and someone who's not wearing necklaces. They claim this is CCTV footage of Kiely before the party.
Police releasing one of the last known images of Kiely, authorities desperately searching for leads in her possible abduction. Investigators say the Northern California teen was seen on surveillance camera visiting a local business just after 6 p.m. on Friday. She disappeared just hours later.
We're trying to find out exactly.
The boyfriend, not Jagger, but the Nate. Trust me, his family is connected, very, very well connected. It would not be a challenge to bring in a helicopter and drop a vehicle into a reservoir, in my opinion. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. How did I miss that? Was that... that's very interesting if Jagger claims to have retraced her steps. I think Jagger knows a lot, and I think he was scared off. Definitely doable. Especially not only connections, but we're talking about people who are some of the richest people in the United States. Nate's grandfather, I believe it was, owned a bank. His father is pretty much a bank of his own. I'm not sure if I could name the family, but I used to nickname him Hamburger Boy. But very, very well connected. This is one of the very wealthy regions. It's doable. It's definitely doable. Yeah. I know. Go figure.
Exactly what happened at this point.
Bodysuit, a black studded belt, green Dickies pants, and black Vans.
Now, another interesting thing here is that they changed the description of what Kiely was seen wearing. After they put this image out, the description changed. And suddenly it was a black bodysuit as opposed to a black... It was similar to a black bodysuit, but it was different. So after putting this image out, they changed the description of what Kiely was wearing, which always grated on me quite a bit. You couldn't. No, there's too many connections in not only that, but, you know, it's the whole Truckee way. Basically, they closed ranks. Kiely wasn't one of them, as far as they were concerned. So they closed ranks to protect the teens, essentially.
Additional images from the Placer County Sheriff's Office show a sweatshirt they believe is still in her possession.
Okay. I'm going to bring up the other sweatshirt. They then decided afterwards, actually, this is the sweatshirt we're looking for. They're like, we changed our mind. We're not looking for the black one. We're looking for the Odd Future one. They just got themselves so confused. It really did, didn't it? That's for sure. That is for sure. God, where was that clip? I'll bring that back up for a moment.
That say, you don't want to be forgotten, you just want to disappear. Police haven't found any correlation between the words and her disappearance.
Without somebody coming forward to potentially reveal a critical piece of information that could lead us to Kiely, we really have nothing to go off of. So we'll continue our search.
On Wednesday, law enforcement expanding their search for...
Okay. Right here. First of all, you can see they've grounded that boat in the mud. It's not anchored, it's grounded in the mud. Now, this location, I believe, is Fry Pan Island, which is I wish BTTV was still here, but it's a couple of 100 meters from the location where Kiely's vehicle was found. There is other footage which shows divers directly over the location where her vehicle was found. Well, true, Lindsay wouldn't know. Especially if, you know what teenagers like too. It's possible that when she was hanging out with Kate that they might have changed clothes if they were going somewhere, and or if Mags was like, come to the party, and she's like, I'm not dressed for a party, and Mags probably went, well, here, borrow this. So there's so many variables there.
Rodni. Dive teams scouring this lake. Teams also searching on the ground and by helicopter. Rodni was last seen at...
Scroll. Okay, do we have Sammy
was with
again?
Kiely the entire party and was the last person to contact her before she went missing.
We were going to leave together because later in the party I had asked her if she could give me a ride home, and then I realized that she was too intoxicated to give me a ride home, so I decided to try and find a different ride. We were both really drunk.
Kiely's mother desperate for...
So I'm going to go through the interview that Sammy did with the All-American Dream Chaser guy separately. But according to Sammy, they all went back to Kiely's car, and they were sitting in Kiely's car because Kiely needed to charge her phone. And while they were sitting in Kiely's car, Sammy apparently asked Kiely for a lift home because she wanted to stay later at the party. The thing is, at the time that they were doing that, Kiely would have been texting Lindsay, her mother, and saying, oh, I'm heading home soon. Can I stay a little bit longer? And I'm going to leave the party at 11:45. But apparently, even though Kiely was texting her mum and saying, I'm leaving soon, Sammy was saying to Kiely, can I get a lift with you because I want to stay later? Kiely would have had to have gone out of her way to have dropped Sammy off home, which would have made her even later home, but apparently Sammy was going to get a lift with her. And then Sammy allegedly got out of Kiely's car and immediately went and asked someone else for a lift home because she decided that Kiely was too intoxicated. Make that make sense. I do. My belief is that that vehicle was put in the reservoir around about the 17th of August. That's my belief based on things to do with the search, based on sightings and stuff like that. That's the question. Something happened in or around Kiely's vehicle. That's what I believe. Almost like they ganged up on her, took her back to the vehicle. Maybe that was when the fight happened. Now, again, I wish BTTV was here because it's blurry and I can't tell, but I'm just wondering, is this Nate standing behind Lindsay looking at her, looking very anxious? Or is this another one of the teens? It looks too tall to be Nate, but I could be wrong. Yeah, apparently the black jumper she borrowed, and I think the white jumper was hers. Okay, I'm going to finish this news article and then I'm going to wrap it up, but I think I do need to do some more. Oh, no. Trust me. The things you are asking are all the things that we have discussed over the last 4 years, because there's so much of this case that does not add up and does not make sense. in my opinion, there's no way knowing that vehicle was in the reservoir during the main search phase. You cannot have the location of the last ping of the phone is known. And when they finally found her vehicle, they're like, yeah, it's right where the phone pinged. And they had over 30 flight paths directly over that location in the reservoir. And yet they never found the vehicle. And we've got all these sightings. That's the thing. They left the area too after that, didn't they? My heart breaks for Lindsay just to go through this. It's so heartbreaking.
Answers.
We have stories about the beginning of the night and the middle of the night, but we don't really have, there are no stories about her leaving, when she left, or who she left with. There's no stories of her car leaving.
Rodni's car, a 2013 silver Honda CR-V shown here in this photo, also missing. Authorities hoping someone has seen it. Her phone has been out of signal since just after midnight on Saturday. The sheriff's department saying they've received more than 300 tips since Sunday. Other agencies, including the FBI, also involved in the search.
And there were accounts. In fact, the early accounts, before Lindsay's saying we don't have accounts of her vehicle leaving, the early reports were she was seen leaving the party at this time. And then that changed. Keep asking questions. Trust me, you're asking the questions that we all ask. And this is why I want to put it together as a series, because there's so many questions, there's so many inconsistencies, and I cannot understand how they can claim this is an accidental death.
Kiely's mother says there is a $50,000 reward for anyone that has information that can bring Kiely home.
Okay, I'll go through these screenshots that I've got. And then I'm going to have to wrap it up for today. But I'm definitely going to come back to this because I've barely scratched the surface. So I think this is worthy of doing some more. Now, Kiely was a good girl who stuck to her curfews and things like that. So why did she, you're spot on, what happened between 11 and 11:30? Why did Kiely need to message Lindsay and say that she needed to stay a bit longer? Because the accounts that we've heard, Kiely wanted to go home. And yet she messaged Lindsay and said, can I have an extension on my curfew? That extension would have meant that she was basically driving outside of legal curfew hours for a 16-year-old driver. Which, from everything we've heard about Kiely, doesn't make sense because she was a good kid. So what happened that made her decide that she needed to get a bit of extra time, a bit of an extension on her curfew from Lindsay? And why was there never any message from her saying, I'm on my way now? Because if, as people claim, she drove herself into the reservoir, then based on her patterns, based on her history, she should have sent a message to Lindsay saying, I'm leaving now. I'm on my way home now. But that message was never received. So something happened that meant Kiely couldn't leave at the planned time. And whatever it was, it also prevented her from messaging her mum and saying, I'm on my way home now. And we have comments like this. A parent saying, my daughter was at the party. She's so scared. What happened? Why is this happening? And this is all stuff coming directly from locals. So we have someone saying, I was told several people saw her leave with 2 guys. Not sure why they are not talking about it. It doesn't make sense. Because to give Sammy a ride would have taken her more than 15 minutes out of her way. Meaning that she would have missed her second curfew as well. So this story that Sammy says that Kiely was going to give her a ride makes no sense. Because she had to go in the opposite direction if she was going to drop Sammy home. Yeah, Lindsay never said anything about Kiely being a designated driver. That came from Sammy, and it also came from Megan Cole. There was a lot of attempts to control the narrative after people started looking closely at Sammy. Sammy went to ground after the interview with the All-American Dream Chaser guy. But Megan Cole sure as hell didn't. She just kept going and going and going. There's so many things about Sammy's account of the party that just do not add up. And certainly this whole designated driver thing was never mentioned by Lindsay. My question is too, this account saying that several people saw her leave with 2 guys. Was it, this was dark. Was it Kiely they saw leaving with 2 guys? Or was Kiely perhaps already in the trunk of that vehicle and they saw Sammy leaving with 2 guys? Because in the dark, how would you know the difference? Because the other thing is, no one has ever actually come forward and said who it was that drove Sammy home. That's a big secret. But supposedly Sammy got a lift with someone else. No one's come forward and said they gave her a lift. Oh yeah, definitely. I've always focused on Sammy. I think Megan Cole was probably more involved than what we realise, though. There is that slip-up where she talks about one of the boys, and she says something along the lines of the other time when I was first on scene at an accident or something like that. There's a number of things where Megan Cole slips up, which makes it sound like she might have been called in when something happened to Kiely. Yeah, there's so many similarities here in terms of the going to the party, the cover-ups, the friends that left. And supposedly, same with Nolan Wells. He was taught by his parents that, you don't stay behind. If your friends are leaving, you go with them. Yeah, there were drugs, alcohol, all that sort of stuff. It's a lot of things that haven't been answered with this case. If it was an accident, why are people still not giving simple answers like, who did Sammy leave the party with? If it was an accident, why were there no videos, no photos from the party? If it was an accident, why did all the teens stay quiet? There's so many things that don't add up with this case. It's yeah, so many things. Anyway, I am going to wrap it up there. I wish I could do longer, but again, it's kind of heading into lunchtime and my focus is kind of going. So it's probably a good spot to stop there, but I will definitely come back and address this some more. Yeah, 4 years. It's incredible that it's been this long. Anyway, thank you everyone who's come in for this live stream. I was very nervous about doing this one because there is so much to this case. And I do feel like I've just not scratched the surface at all. I think what I might do is focus on videos now as a series, as opposed to trying to muddle through more in a live stream. I think this has given people a really good understanding of the case. And I think probably if I start putting together a series of all the little bits and pieces, because there's a lot to take in, there's a lot to cover, and I think that's probably the best way of doing it. Anyway, thanks for coming in. Please hit the like button on your way out. Always helps me out. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Also, if you're watching on replay, please leave a comment. Always appreciate people leaving comments. Even if you're watching now, please go back and leave some comments if you feel the need to. I am halfway through working on another one of my analyses for Malaya with Lily and Jack's case, and I will also be back tomorrow with a live stream for Lily and Jack. So on that note, thanks for coming, and I'll catch you in the next one. Give a fuck about